How did your crazy ex become your crazy ex? After I broke up with her, she used makeup to feign bruising on her arms, neck, and face. She then proceeded to send pictures of it to all of our mutual friends warning them about me. Was her name Fiona? I suspect she was crazy long before I knew her, but I realized she was a freaking sociopath when she asked me to euthanize my dog because he was taking up too much of our time. Holy crap, that's a nightmare. Ever had a girlfriend threaten to cut her wrists because your The Sims character is dating the computer-generated neighbor? I did. I can't decide if this is hilarious or horrifying. Sims characters should never date their neighbors. She woke me up because I had the night sweats and she was convinced I had AIDS. For some reason I decided to appease her and got a full STD screen including an expensive AIDS test. A few weeks later I drove to her house to give her my signed note. I had to specifically request, stating my clean bill of health. She accused me of forging the entire thing and in the following argument pulled plates out of the cupboard and frisbeed them at me. I left immediately. About 6 months later, I had just started dating my now fiancé. She contacted me to tell me she believed me and wanted to know if she and her 2 dogs could move in with me. I never responded. Just waking you up and demanding you get an AIDS test should have been the "I'm getting the frick out of here" moment. Painted my name all over his bedroom, bathroom and lounge room. Proposed and then photoshopped us into wedding pictures. Sent invites all his family, mine and my friends. Got an ultrasound photo online and tried to announce to Facebook we were expecting a baby. Shaved our initials into his cat and left hundreds of love letters taped to my car. So that was crazy. We went on half a double date with friends. I was just being a good sport. Noped out when he proposed when my food came. The rest came over the next week. All I can think about is how much it must suck to be that dude's cat. Would start arguments out of thin air because I'm drama. This is who I am. Then one day, I went drinking in her hometown. She ran into her ex. A day later she said, "Sorry, but I'm going to start dating him again." 2 days after that, she was begging to get back together. Nope. Messaged me occasionally for a few years to go out for a drink, but eventually stopped when she got knocked up. Good luck to the guy who knocked her up. In addition to being an absolute gem of a personality, she had awful genetics and family. I'm drama. This is who I am. At least she is honest. Most are like, I hate drama, but somehow there is always drama around their lives. He tried to strangle me with an HDMI cord because I didn't straighten my hair that day. He had been crazy for a while, but that's the very moment where I realized it. Use a DSUB, VGA, cable on him. More wires in there, it's stronger. Walked miles in the snow to my house. Tapped on my bedroom window for an hour until I acknowledged him. I turned him away. In the morning I heard rustling in my closet upon waking up. The little sucker snuck into my house somehow and was hiding in my closet. I threatened to call the cops, so he left. Weeks later, he emailed me pictures of me sleeping from that night. I still have nightmares about finding him in a closet. This is by far one of the worst stories I've read here. I truly hope you are okay and have some form of legal separation from this psycho. Was supposed to be medicated and never told me. Didn't matter since she stopped taking her meds before we dated. Tried to make up for it by taking many different recreational drugs that she failed to mention as well. Found her drug kit and noped out. Her mother said, and I quote, "I'm surprised you made it as long as you did." My husband's crazy ex, just girlfriend from high school, was crazy because she set up appointments for portrait session to have pictures done of our 3 children for her house. No, we did not let that fruitcake take our children. They broke up their senior year of high school, and this is when we were in our 30s. Shocked at contact from her. Never mind the apt. We found out she also had her phone number listed. Phone books then, as Mrs. Our surname all those years, which was never her name. She was stuck in her high school fantasy, which was frightening. This is the kind of story that has me googling my ex's first names in combination with my last name, just in case. I could see one in particular pulling crap like that. Beat the crap out of me, then out of his next GF and their kids. He lied about his police record and previous conviction from beating me. He is charming and manipulative, so I get why she believed him. He got out of prison recently for what he did and I'm just glad I'm across the country. He started messaging all the new guys he thought I would maybe go out with, asking them not to invite me out cause he felt he still had a chance with me. This happened not once or twice. This happened with around 10 guys. He didn't even know them in person. I didn't even know them. She cut out my head from yearbooks and put them on corkboards on her headboard. I found out because one of her friends told me she did, and so I wanted to see for myself. She was working during the day, and I was close with her brother, who let me in when I said I needed to grab something from her BR. I walked in and, sure enough, my head on a bunch of muscular bodies that weren't mine. I broke up with her the next day after seeing the Hey Arnold-esque shrine. Following the breakup, she would drive on my street and stop and wait outside and see if my light was on. It wasn't, mainly because I knew she would do that. Then she would call me and leave voicemails of her breathing rather heavily. She then tried to get me jealous of her having another guy, which I was everything but jealous of, and she actually had sex with and got pregnant with said guy, which kind of backfired on her. So, happy ending, I guess? I told her after 3 years of dating that I was actually a war refugee from Chechnya. She just knew I was from Russia, nothing more, and had seen a lot of horrible things during my childhood. I saw people be executed, bombs exploding, people dying slowly of gangrene, dodging snipers, etc. Never really told anybody this in my life since I came to America. I told her because I was pretty sure I wanted to spend my future with her. I told her it was a massive deal that I told her this in the first place, because I hadn't ever told anyone. She left me right afterwards because she assumed I was crazy or mentally damaged from all the crap I went through. She said she didn't wanna date some scary war refugee. The worst part was that her parents, who I mostly communicated through because she refused to talk to me, believed it too. They said horrible things to me about it, saying I was a criminal, junkie, that I would end up beating her up. I'm just another street Arab. I am Azeri, not Arab. They basically put their foot down and said I could never date someone like their daughter. One of the worst weeks of my life. Really made me lose faith in long-term relationships, girls. Sounds like you have a history of dodging bullets. Chalk up one more. She tried to drown herself in a river in the middle of December because she thought I wanted to sleep with someone else. I had to wait out and get her. This was after she spiked my phone on the ground when I received a text message from a friend saying my then girlfriend had left her purse at the bar. On a separate occasion, she grabbed her car keys from me after drinking heavily, and when I tried to stop her from driving she almost ran me over. Yeah, she was nuts. Once they start driving off, I think the best way to deal with drunks is to make a mental note of their license plate, call 911, and let them deal with it. Was pregnant with another guy's baby. I found out when she lost it during a H overdose. That was when I learned that she was pregnant and did H. That sounds like a hell of a Tuesday. Genetics. Both of her parents were batshit crazy, so I shouldn't have been surprised when she started stalking me after she cheated on me and I dumped her. She threatened a few of my, and by extension our, female friends with physical violence just for being around me and tried to get me fired from my job. She called my manager and told him that I was on drugs, nothing further from the truth, and had two of her other friends come into my store and be extremely angry customers saying I'd felt them up or some dang thing. Fortunately my boss knew all about what was going on and didn't buy any of it. You can tell a lot about a girl from her family. My ex's parents were high school sweethearts, except only the mom was a sophomore and he was 27. Yay. Oh, I had one mega crazy ex. This girl was 5 kinds of fricked in the head and needed to be locked the frick up. First, she had a kid. I didn't doubt that. I saw her stretch marks. Not a big deal. She claimed the kid had been kidnapped by the baby daddy and disappeared. Okay, stranger things have happened. Things started not adding up soon. She was a pathological liar. Started with I make $60 HR in the military, which I knew was balls for her rank, since my mom was a higher rank than she was, and made far less than that. She stole my car one night, and by the time the cops got there she was already back and claimed innocence, and the cops threatened to arrest me for making a false report. Then she tried playing the ultimate psycho card, and said she'd had a call saying her kid daddy had been in a wreck in Canada and the kid was dead. At first, I wasn't sure to call BS on that or not. 2 days later she downed a bottle of sleeping pills with a full bottle of vodka. While she was in the hospital, I did some digging and found out that she and her husband got a divorce and he was awarded custody due to her being a complete nutbag. I noped the frick out of there as fast as I could. Took you a bit but you dodged that bullet like Neo, my friend. Cutus. When he got himself locked in 4-point restraints in the because he was convinced he had AIDS and started trying to infect the staff, or when he proudly told me he was the son of Jesus Christ, or when he tried to kick in my door at 3:00 AM as a grand romantic gesture, or how he thought his bald spot would grow hair again if he was just a better person. Well, maybe it would have, he just didn't have the ability to test his theory. I noticed my underthings were going missing. I mentioned it while doing the laundry. He accused me of cheating, saying I must have left my things at some dude's house I was cheating with and began beating me for the missing items. I was pregnant with his child at the time. I kick him out, scared shitless how I was going to support myself while I was about to give birth and miss work for 6 weeks. I began packing his things to keep my frightened mind busy. Find a big box hidden in the basement full of my missing underthings, huge inflatable butt plugs, and transsexual pee. My thigh highs were tied in knots with bull hair sticking out of them. I put in a videotape labeled with my name. It's him dressed as me with my clothing on, beating off and fricking his butt to the idea of being me. His nuts tied up with my stockings. Turns out he was a secret cross-dresser trans with a violent history and multiple drug charges. Lied about everything, from his education to his orientation. I don't trust human beings anymore. I wanna say we were both each other's crazy exes. He cheated on me, begged me not to break up with him, then repetitively threatened and even attempted once to kill himself after I broke up with him. And then of course me, being really upset about being cheated on, I returned his shirts and hoodies he had given to me, in shreds. He cheated and I was stupid and forgave him. 2 months later I was served with an eviction notice because he had lied to my face about having paid rent. I told him I would give him a chance to work on himself, but I needed space and would find somewhere apart from him 2 months later when the lease was up. He threatened suicide 3 times, called me drunk multiple times, switched between "you're the best ever, I love you and can't live without you" and "you're W and the worst person ever." Die alone from voicemail to voicemail. By then I had told him that we were definitely over, but the final nail in the coffin for him was when he drove to my new house drunk to call me names and tried to pull me out of my house when I told him to leave or I was calling the police, and went to go back into my house. Psychotic and emotionally abusive crazy will always be psychotic and emotionally abusive crazy. Similar to mine. I got into a motorcycle accident and he told me he hopes I get gang raped and that they tripped on the cord. Next day he is so sorry and blah blah blah. Day after that he hopes I bang my head off a tree snowboarding and become a vegetable. Real sweetheart. I tried to end things several times and always got guilt tripped into taking him back. When I finally told him I was ending it for good, he asked if we could still be friends. I said of course we could. I was 17 years old, naive, and did not yet understand how complicated staying friends is. A few days later he invited me to his house to play Guitar Hero, as friends, of course. I thought it would be fine because his other friend was going to be there too. Like I said, naive, or stupid, or both. When I got to his house he had a drink in his hand. Red flag number 1. In the year I had dated him he had never had a drink. As he drank more, he began asking me to stay over one last time and begging him to give him one last kiss. For obvious reasons, I became incredibly uncomfortable and told him I was leaving. He followed me up the stairs and cornered me in the entranceway, grabbing at my wrists, trying to force them to my sides and kiss me, refusing to let me leave. He was crying. I was screaming and crying. His friend was yelling at him to let me go. I managed to take out my cell phone and call my mom, but he yanked it out of my hands before I could say anything to her. Luckily, she heard me screaming before he hung up, got in her car and hauled butt to his place. With the help of his friend, I managed to get out of the house and into my mom's car. He stood in front of it, in bare feet, in the snow, but I think he realized my mom probably would have run him down. Not really, but she was definitely in defense mode because he got out of the way. That was just the beginning of months of bulls, including a suicide attempt and various incidents of harassment. I was really messed up about it for a really long time. TLDR. He tried to forcibly keep me at his house after I broke up with him and made my life a living heck for months. Props to your crazy ex's friend for helping. First he was just my ex. Then he threatened to post some risque pics of me online and or kill himself. As if that would make me want him back. Yeah, he should have threatened to flood your Facebook with pics of Nicolas Cage. When we broke up he moved into my neighbor's apartment and would hang around outside waiting for me to take the trash out or leave for work. They had a surveillance camera on their front door. Drug dealers. So every time I came home, he'd be moping around outside trying to get me to come outside. I ended up moving out of state. On a trip back home we had been on better terms and were planning on meeting up for a drink. Before that happened I found out he got this girl pregnant and she was having an abortion, whatever. Totally their choice. Not my business, but I called off the drinks and told him I knew what was going on and I had no interest in being involved in that drama. He tried to say he didn't even know if it was his. He told the girl he got pregnant he was going to kill himself. Blah blah blah. Before I left town I had a card in my dad's driveway from my ex. Inside he wrote all kinds of crazy crap. I don't remember what it said, but I do remember the poorly sketched picture he drew of an aborted baby with its umbilical cord wrapped around its neck like a noose. Jesus Christ. The crazy bee literally made me choose between her and my mother and sister. She couldn't handle other women in my life. It went beyond just not liking me being around them. She would go to crazy far lengths to get me away from any female in the vicinity. She never did that until a month or two before we broke up. Glad I did that. Well, my friend introduced us because we were both taking time off uni for mental illness, so we're probably both each other's crazy ex. That said, he has a habit of dating girls he meets in the psych ward, so I doubt I'm his craziest at least. Claimed her dad beat her, then came to spend the weekend. Told me her mom died and had to stay with me because she had nowhere to go. Brought guys over to have sex on my bed while I was at work, unknown to me at the time. And one time I came home early from work, she still had a guy hiding in the restroom, unknown to me at the time. I got her a job at my friend's company and she showed up for one day, then never showed up again, unknown to me at the time. My friend didn't mention it. Stole my social security number and took out credit cards in my name to buy lots of clothes and never paid off the credit cards. Told me she was on the pill. Wasn't. Oh, and of course her mom wasn't really dead. Then her mom starts calling me telling me she's going to murder me. Stored drugs in my house. Stole my car and told me she was on birth control even though she wasn't. I was too trusting. I found her online years later. She changed her name. Dang. Every part of this deserves further explanation. Threatened to kill herself in more than several occasions. More than once, she attempted to commit suicide by OD as I was on a phone call with her. Accused me of cheating the day after I broke up with her. Then arrived at my apartment and proceeded to strangle me and punch my face. The whole relationship put me in a deep depression that I'm still trying to cope with. I hope things look up for you, man. I really do. It was Valentine's Day and I was sick on the couch all day. She sent me a text from work asking what we were doing. I said that I was ill and maybe we should reschedule for another day. She responded with okay, well maybe we can make soup and watch a movie. I said sure. So I carry my sick butt off the couch and grab ingredients to make soup and pick up a red box she wanted to see on the way home. Make soup and finish it by the time she gets home. Long and short of it, we get in a massive argument because she can't believe I just made her soup and grabbed a movie and thought that would suffice for Valentine's Day. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone or some alternate universe. After trying to remain calm and show her the text she sent me about tonight, she was still being crazy, so like any loving BF would do, I lost my crap, told her to get the frick out of my house while flipping her off. Yes, it was overkill, and I don't feel good about it. That was pretty much the end of it. To this day I still can't believe someone made me that mad. A little late to the party, but take your pick. She faked a pregnancy, sonograms and all. She told me her mom died and stepdad kicked her out so she could move into my parents' house. Her mom was very much alive. She gifted me a car from her grandmother's inheritance, but turned out to be a stolen car. She test drove a car and never brought it back. She altered her voice so she could conduct a phone interview on me. She pretended she had cancer and shaved her head so I would be sympathetic and not break up with her. She got me a job as a writer for some magazine I never heard of, and I even collected paychecks. But the money was from her stepfather's bank account with forged signatures. I was sending crappy poetry pieces to some random fax machine, which I was told was my publisher. I could go on, but it's late and I doubt anyone will even read these. For the adventurous that do get this far, it's amazing what good and frequent BJs do to a man's psyche. She had her friend go through my Reddit account and then send me hateful messages about how terrible of a human being I was. More than 2 years later. You fricked up when you let them find out your Reddit account. I have decided to meander out of the shadows for my first post. Apologies if my internet etiquette is lacking. I was 17. He was 20. We had broken up several times for various reasons. Mostly we just weren't right for one another. October. We finally break up for the last time. We live less than 10 minutes away from each other, so he drives by my house all the time cause creep. December. He convinces me to meet him down the street from my house at a drugstore, just to talk. He starts crying about how he cheated on me, how sorry he is, and how he will never do it again. I wasn't 100% sure prior to his confession, only like 99.9999999%. Whatever. Confirmation that I wasn't crazy feels nice. Me. Well done. Of course you're never going to do it again. We're done. You're never going to get the opportunity to do that again. So I saunter over to my car like the badass I am, feeling pretty good about myself. So what does he do? He chases after me and pushes me up against my car, kissing me violently. This guy is maybe 5 inches taller and double my weight, so there isn't a whole lot I can do to protest. He pinned my arms down by my side, thinking he can restrain me. Super rappy. But I know this guy. He thinks he's being super romantic. So what do? Exactly what every woman wants to do in this situation. I kicked him right where it hurts as hard as I could. Got in my car, drive home as fast as I could. Literally a 3-minute drive, and told my dad what happened. Dad stood outside my house, knowing full well that butthole is probably going to show up any minute. So what does my dad do? He very politely explains to butthole why he is never, ever going to drive down our street or speak to me ever again, while holding a crowbar or whatever that metal thing was. TLDR. Ex confessed to cheating after we broke up, tried to Hollywood kiss me, kicked him in nuts. Dad threatens him. Did I do this right? Also, on phone, and it appears that formatting is not a thing when phoning. Reddit ignores single line breaks, 1-line break, 2-line breaks. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.